Good morning, everyone. My name is Abiodun Modupe. I'm from University of Pretoria in South Africa. So I think I'm the only person that is in between you and your lunch. So I will try as much as possible to make it faster. So, and also for University of Michigan, we are very grateful for inviting us to be able to also participate in this particular symposium, to be able to tell our own story in our own unique way. So basically, this is, I start by trying to introduce who am I. Basically, actually in South Africa. I'm resident in South Africa, but originally I'm a Nigerian by birth. So I had all my elementary school, university in Nigeria. I worked in the banking industry for quite a while as a software developer. Then I got tired about it, and I also wanted to go into research more. Then I want to investigate more. Then I went into South Africa to start all over again, do my, the third year in computer science department, do my honors, my master's, and my PhD. So basically, these are all the affiliation that I have, and that's actually represent exactly who am I and the future I kind of look for myself, that I think basically now, enjoying exactly the same thing that I planned for myself from the very youth, from the very, very beginning of my life. So from the University of Pretoria, this is just representing some of the alumni and also current students that we have under data science for social good, which is also a research group under Department of Computer Science. And when you look at it, this is actually the department that is acquiring exactly what University of Michigan or what Minders is doing here, which is actually data science in University of Michigan. So the data science for social good is actually a research group, and we're actually the one that is acquiring that master's in data science at the University of Pretoria. And this particular program is more or less like a multidisciplinary program that we also have different faculty members from different department or different faculty that they come together to be able to give classes for this particular program. So these are kind of students that we have that probably we have currently or they are finished. So it's only myself and Vikosi that are actually the senior members of this particular group. And so the question here, or what I'm actually here to preach, is also, we know as an African, we have our own problems, right? All my various colleagues have spoke about it. But what we wanted to do is to be able to find a unique way to solve our own problem. Because one thing about solving your problem is also, first and foremost, you need to acknowledge the fact that you have a problem. Once you can acknowledge the fact that you have the problem, there will be no solution. So we know that we have a problem. We have social issue, right? But the question we are asking ourselves is that with the evolution of AI or evolution of machine learning or whatever, can we also use it as an equalizer to be able to solve that same problem that we have? So, and that's where the initiative of what we call setting up a grassroots AI. And in setting up that grassroots AI, we want to be able to use it to, to reduce the barrier that is in this thing. As an African, we realize these things from the very beginning that, fine, we are an African, but we're basically, we're living in a different room in the same house. We know we're Africans. Anywhere you go, we always want to identify with ourselves. And that's why you see the spirit of Africa when it comes to football. You don't want to say, oh, this is a Ghanaian, this is a Cameroonian. It's like we see ourselves as an African. So the question is that we know we have a problem, but the question is that we are individuals living in the same house but different rooms. But now we have now realized that the most important thing in order to be able to solve that problem is to come together as one. And we want to use AI as a platform to be able to solve the inequality problem that we have. We want to be able to come together to collaborate. We want to be able to also use that particular tool to be able to solve that historical problem that is associated with Africa. And that's why we have what we call a grassroots that is driving this particular initiative. So if you look at this, so all that I'm saying to you today, you are all invited to be able to be part of this grassroots. Let us collaborate together. Let us co-host, as some of my colleagues have said. So these are various grassroots within Africa that they are trying to use AI, artificial intelligence, to be able to solve most of the problem that we have. Now, one of the very first things that fascinated with me is that which is exactly what Mandela said. Mandela said, for you to have an audience with someone, you need to be able to understand the language that particular person speaks. Once you understand the language that particular person speaks, you don't need to talk much. You already have that relationship already started. So these are various grassroots that is, you can see from 2016 to up to 2020, and we're growing. So how did I get into the AI domain or AI area? I think it started almost immediately when I finished my honors at the University of Pretoria, and I was trying to say, okay, where will I start from? And I got admitted into VET to do my master's. Then at the end of the day, when I was finishing my master's towards 2017, 2018, there come this particular advert that is called Deep Learning Indaba. How does this Deep Learning Indaba, the purpose of Deep Learning Indaba is to strengthen African machine learning. And how did it start? It just starts by some of the scholars that African has been able to produce, that they probably in Cambridge, one of the universities in the US, they just came together. Some of them are working in Google, some of them are working in DeepMind, and they look at within themselves and they say, you know what, can we try as much as possible to give back to the community that we came from? And that's exactly where these four guys come together, and they created what we now know as Deep Learning Indaba. And the very first Deep Learning Indaba started in September 2027. And just like we're saying, you can see our keynote speaker here, Yelin. I happen to have worked with Yelin myself when she was in CSIR. She was my mentor. So you can see the generation, the progression. So I was just finishing my master's at UP then, and I was invited to say, okay, fine. Let me just come and be a tutor in the program. And when we started this, I think the application that we received was almost about 300 or 400 applications. But even within the limited resources that we have, that particular first inceptions of Deep Learning, we have almost about 150 applications across Africa. It's not within the only in South Africa, but so these are some of scholars that are scattered all over the world that was invited to be a speaker for that 1 week program. So as you can see me here, I was just trying to, do that tutorship I was able to. So that is where I begin to get engaged to be able to, that I get that fascinated idea of AI technology and all that. So I move on from here, and right from that particular 2017 till just last year that we have deep learning in Indaba. It happened every year, and it's been continued. And I think we've been blessed to always have sponsors to be able to sponsor all the applicants. I mean, we grow from the very application of about 300 because I was part of the selection committee for this particular deep learning in Indaba. So I know everything. So we go from like 150 to almost about 700, 800. Like last year in Senegal, we have almost about 950 applications. Not applications, I mean, that we give, that was able to attend that particular program. So, and there are always a series of keynote speaker lectures from Sunday to the next Sunday. And even when we're doing that, I mean, we still also enjoy ourselves, we party in the last days of whatever. So this is in Ghana. This one is in Ghana, sorry. This one is in Ghana, is not Senegal. So now this is, then this is actually Senegal, the first slide. This was Ghana, this was Senegal. That means our destiny, the theme of that particular deep learning is that our destiny is in our hand. If we don't take it now, nobody is going to write our story for ourselves, but we want to write our own story for ourselves. So that's exactly, then the next one here, the next one in this year is actually happened. So at a glance, what is actually, I've talked about this. There are a series of programs that happen during deep learning in Indaba. We can have, we have one special speaker per day, and we have like 12 tutorials that is very from computer vision, natural language processing, all kind of subsets of AI. And we also have like coding practical. We also have people that also be able to submit applications submit papers that most of the people, they can also get feedback, instant feedback. You're talking about undergraduate, postgraduate, they can also submit some of their research work and they get instant feedback. They also kind of, maybe when they are invited, when they come for the program, they also kind of have one-on-one conversations with, so we also have posters, startup workshops and all that. So approximately, as I said, we have almost every year after 2017, we have an average of about 600 participants every year. So this is Senegal. Now, the next one, which is this year, is happening in Rwanda, which is Kigali. So I want to use this opportunity to also invite every one of you here to, if you have not been to the Africa, I think this is an opportunity for you to, let's come and let's interact. Share that particular idea to us. So, unfortunately, the application has closed. I think it's closed at the end of early first week of March. So we're in the process of selection now, and by the end of, you can see the date there. So now, moving from there, we also have what we call, which is another grassroots, which we call Masakhane. I'm also actively involved in this one. And what is Masakhane? Let's come together. Let us build together. And that's one unique thing about Africa. Every African name has a meaning. We didn't just do anything because we want to do it. We want to be able to there's a meaning behind everything that we do. So when you look at Masakhane right from 2019, it said, let's come together and let's build together. So that's where that collaboration comes in, because we were able to have that opportunity to share idea. And once that idea is shared, we'll take one step, we'll take it forward. So we started Masakhane in 2019. It's, as I said, it's a grassroots organization, which the mission is actually to strengthen NLP researchers in Africa, because as I say, the best way for you to collaborate or to relate with anybody is for you to be able to understand that the language that particular person speaks. Once you understand the language the person speaks, you have already created a channel of communication. So you understand my language, meaning that you understand my culture. And one of the things that we as an African want to do through AI technology is to be able to use it to, one, as I said, to solve our problem, and also to preserve the culture, our heritage, and so many things like that going forward. So Masakhane is basically just to be able to have a collections of all these large language models collectively and put them together under one particular resources to be able to say, will it be possible that, okay, I'm coming from Senegal or I'm coming from Cameroon and I want to interact with somebody maybe in Ethiopia. So in terms of translation, we're trying to evaluate this translation model, this large language model. So what we did was to take all the large language model that is available out there, create a repository, and try and get the local data set that we have to test them, to evaluate them. Now, one of the good things that we also now do is also to say, even when we translate, can we also kind of give a feedback for user to give a feedback, to be able to test exactly what is this particular model translating? Is it good? So in that way, we're also using it to be able to collect data, to be able to retrain the original model itself. And that's exactly, that's exactly what I was trying to talk about here. This is where we now create that the whole collection of large language model, and we're able to you do your translation from here to here. You can pick whatever language you want to translate from here. Then we also give an opportunity for the user to be able to say, okay, fine, this particular translation that this particular model is giving me, is it 100% correct? If it's not correct, you can give your own interpretation. Then the system will also take that particular, what you give back to retrain the model so that it can just basically exactly what we have in terms of what we call fine-tuning today. So this is a way in order to be able to tell our own story and to be able to say, okay, fine, the decolonization of AI is already, we're practicing it. So, and several papers has also come out of it that, okay, I was able to be part of the co-author of that paper that was submitted as Springer. Moving from on, this basically now also give an African or give us an opportunity to be able to submit, which is also an author, submit a paper in ICML in 2019. That was in Kigali. It gave us an opportunity at the higher level to be able to also participate. And this participation comes as a result of this particular participatory research for low resources machine learning translation. So moving from after this particular conference, then so many other things also come on board. This is part of the paper that was also published. This is also some of the work that was done by our research lab at the University of Pretoria Data Science Institute. That is also a collaboration with some of our students or the alumni that I show in my earlier slides. So these are some of the various work that has come out of what we have been able to, the use of AI and the age of AI technology and machine learning. So these are various samples of some of the papers that have been published from us and other. So again, moving on, we also started in, okay, thank you. We also started in 2000, then we realized that, okay, fine, we need to also go more deeper and try what we come up with what we call Uzula. And what is Uzula is also to say, okay, fine, we're not just looking at the scientific, or we're not just looking at the science alone, we're also looking at the community. We're also looking at people that are practitioners, like news media, language practitioner, sociology and all that, put them together and try and also kind of give them the introductions, or a small introduction about machine learning, how AI can be useful to them. So that's exactly where we try to create what we call Uzula. Uzula, let's also align to the very first goal that we have in Masakhane, or that deep learning in Indaba come. Let's come together and let us, train ourselves. So we understand the challenges that we have as an African in terms of NLP, but we find a way, a forum to be able to standardize that. We want collaboration, we want innovation solution, we also want future African language to be tested. So just last in February, this particular one was organized in University of Johannesburg, which is very close to, in the center of in Johannesburg, very close to, is a commercial center in South Africa. So this is some of the participants that they come together to be able to deliberate, just like what we're talking about here. So moving on, we also have, in terms of how do we advance NLP in terms of African languages, one of the most important things is just to say, okay, fine, even though we want to improve it, but before we can improve, can we evaluate? Then we want to, that evaluation is coming from increasing the data set and using all the benchmark metrics that is there to be evaluate exactly what we have now. We also want to kind of also look at the cross-lingual applications of most of these application. We also want to look at how responsible, how inclusive is this particular model to our unique problem as an African. And also, we also wanted to, we're kind of using it to also, could we use it as a text base to derive policy? Just what my next, the last speaker has talked about. So at last year, December, we started it. And when you look at this is basically one of the unique things that is unique to South Africa. And this basically happened during the apartheid, that, people are dying in terms of hunger and all that. So it was a unique place for us to gather all these language practitioners together for us to discuss one common things on how to be able to move African language forward. Because one thing that we know as an Africa is a multilingual society. Being a multilingual society, everybody needs to come together, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here. So how do we get to where we are? The one important thing is community, community, community. That is the key word. Community, 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 for us to be able to find a formation in which we can work together. How does our work impact each other? And we also want to increase the opportunity for us as an African. So what got us here also, in terms of one of the things, is also support, and support to all the grassroots initiative that we have, which is very, very key and very important to us. Another thing is also mobility is also the key. Another thing is also the opportunity for our students, professionals, and also the entire content as also aligned to exactly what my other colleagues have said here. Also development and support. How do we support the faculty? How do we support our students? And also local R&D initiative is also a key priority that we're looking at. So whatever I've said here is just a small part of many other things that we have been able to do, or we have been able to accomplish, that we look forward to accomplish in future. But one of the things, one important here is that, and the question that I want to take away from here, how do we leverage all this network that we have and what we're creating here, or what University of Michigan is trying to do? How do we leverage this particular network so that we can able to build more responsible AI technology that we're able to enhance and solve that problem that we have as an African. And thank you so much. I think that's all what I have. Thanks.
So this is not much of a question, but more of a comment. What I've seen this morning, I'm really, really excited about, because when I look at what's happening in the US, right, AI is driven by businesses, right? Looking to sell me crap, looking to sell me information or get my information. You folks are focused on solving problems for the continent, right? And I really hope it works out, and you know what we can do to help make that happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was wondering if you had any tips for us about how do we work on building grassroots initiatives? What would you tell us?
Yeah, I just told you about now that a deep learning in Indaba that is happening in Kigali, Rwanda. So I think it's also an opportunity for us to be also try as much as possible to reach out. You can reach out to me. I can connect you to the organizations, and every one of you, if you're interested, you are also welcome to be one of the key speaker, or to be part of those tutorial workshop and develop a curriculum that you feel it can help to, increase that capacity we're trying to, that capacity we're trying to grow, the training, the support that we need. So it's an open domain that whatever you have, whatever initiative, whatever you are bringing upon, we don't have, we can't say no. All that we just have to do is just to give you an opportunity and a platform to be able to, an opportunity to collaborate with one another. So it's a very good initiative, and that's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is to be able to develop a methodology, a pipeline to solve our own problem in our own unique way. We know we have a problem, but the question is that we cannot ask an outsider that doesn't know how the structure of my house looks like to come into my house and tell me this is where your dining room should be. This is where your bedroom is. We understand, we identify that we have a problem. But the question is that how do we come together as one to be able to solve, leveraging upon the artificial intelligence to solve our problem. So you are welcome to reach out to me. I will connect you to the people that is organizing deep learning in Indaba in Rwanda. Yeah, and we can see. You might probably be invited for that particular one of those tutorials. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your talk and sharing your work. I'm just wondering, very concretely, how big of a performance gap are you seeing between the models trained on the English language versus the native African languages?
Well, one of the things that I'm saying, and I think some of my colleagues, and it has been something that has been iterated since yesterday. When you basically look at it, there's too much bias. There's too much insinuation that is there. So because the question you ask yourself, he also talks about what my last speaker talked about in data sovereignty. The question you're asking yourself, how did they get this data? Was this data actually a represent? Because one thing that is very important to us is our value. Once I lose my value, I lose my identity. Did I know who I am? Then the generation to come, they have no space. So the question is that's exactly the narrative we're trying to recorrect by saying we accommodate everything that has been done. Can we take those things and use us as an African as a test base to evaluate this model? That's exactly what come up with Masakhane Web that we developed. We're not changing any parameter or whatever that has been done with JC Joyce NT. We're not changing. But the question is that we take that model and we supply with our own indigenous data that we have been able to gather. And we're able to now push it out to our user, which is the African, to say, in terms of translating, for example, Modupe in Nigeria, meaning thank you. But when you translate to Sutu or Kosa in South Africa, it means when it starts raining. Do you understand? So someone in South Africa will look at Modupe is the same thing, but it's the same spelling. But when you look at the meaning, in terms of the contents or how you use it, it's completely different. So if I have to now say, okay, you developed that model using, only God knows where you got the data from. You know what you have done is good. But in terms of the actual person that is going to use that particular translation model, I will say it's been wrong because it doesn't speak about my culture and my value. So that's the problem. So we're not saying whatever you have done is wrong. But what we are trying to do is how do we argument it? How do we make it useful to complement whatever the multilingual society we find ourselves? I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Okay, thank you so much. That was very interesting.